fourth graders, and welcome to your math lesson for today. To get started, let's take a look at the standard that we're going to cover this week. The standard we're going to cover is MD1, and basically we're moving on to measurement. So you can see here that we're going to talk about different types of units of measurement. We're even going to review some of the types of measurement that you talked about last year in third grade. We're also going to talk about understanding the relationship between gallons, cups, quarts, and pints. That's new for fourth grade. That's not something that you've talked about before. We're going to cover that later on this week. We're going to talk about how we can express larger units in terms of smaller units within the same measurement system. And basically what that means is that we're going to learn how to convert measurements. And that's something that you guys have been doing when you're solving word problems. So you're familiar with it. You just didn't realize that this is what you were doing. We're also going to talk about how we can record the measurement equivalents in a two-column table. So we're going to use a T-chart and we're going to record measurements that are equivalent to each other. And I'm going to show you an example of that a little bit later on. So to get started, I want to tell you guys that this week we're going to talk about customary measurement. There's two different types of measurement, customary and metric. We're going to save metric for next week, and this week we're going to talk about customary measurement, and that's the system of measurement that we use in the United States. And you can see down here all of these different examples, which you've heard of all these things. This is your customary measurement, the measurement we use in the United States. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about customary measurement of length. So measuring how long something is. We're going to talk about that with inches, feet, yards, and miles. And this is what I was talking about. You guys talked about these things last year in third grade. This is a refresher, making sure that you understand that this is called customary measurement. This is what we are accustomed to using in the United States. And then we're going to talk about the conversions of these. Just to refresh, you can measure length using inches, feet, yards, and miles. It is most appropriate to use an inch to measure smaller objects like a paper clip, a book, your hand. You would use a foot to measure objects like a door or people. We talk about our own heights in feet. And you would use a yard to measure something like a football field. The yard lines on a football field, they're called yard lines for a reason. Even if you were measuring something as large as a bus, you would use yards. It makes the most sense to use yards. And we really only use miles when we're talking about distances, when you're looking at a map and you're talking about different distances. So the conversion factor here, how much is within each? 1 foot is made up of 12 inches. We know inches is smaller, then we go to feet, then we go to yards, then we go to miles. So 12 inches makes up 1 foot. 1 yard is made up of 3 feet. 1 mile is made up of 5,280 feet or 1,760 yards. So those are the conversions that we need to know. You probably have the feet to inches, or I should say the inches to feet memorized, and probably even the feet to yards memorized. You don't have to have these memorized. I'll never ask for you to do conversions without giving you those equivalents first, but it's good to know that stuff. It's just good to have that in your mind. So if you know it already, good for you. I do want to show you guys this little video about inches, feet, and yards. I'm going to go ahead and admit it's not the best video. It's a little bit silly, but it helps us remember this, and I always like to throw a video in whenever we're learning new concepts. So enjoy for just a quick minute. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that little video. Maybe the rhyme in the song will help you remember the different conversions. So, the main thing when we're talking about conversions, and this is the main part that you need to know, whenever you are going from a larger unit like feet to a smaller unit like inches, you are always going to multiply. So, whenever you're going from large to small, you multiply. And the reason why is because you don't need as many of the large to make up the small. So you need more of the smaller to make up the larger units. So the smaller the unit, the larger the number is going to be when you're doing your conversions. So if you're going backwards, if you're going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, you're going to divide. Okay, so when we're going from feet to inches, and this is the equivalent chart that I was talking about earlier with the standard, but if you're going from feet to inches, you're going to multiply by 12 because there are 12 inches in 1 foot. If you are going from yards, a larger unit, to feet, a smaller unit, once again, you're going to multiply, but this time you're going to multiply by 3 because there are 3 feet in 1 yard. Think about this really as an input-output table. If you put in 1 yard, you're going to get out 3 feet. If you put in 2 yards, you're going to get out 6 feet. 3 to 9. You can see that pattern going right there. This is the part that's going to be trickiest if there's any part that's tricky. So just keep this in mind and think about what makes sense. If you're having a larger unit, you don't need as many as if you were to have a smaller unit. Okay? So now what do I need for you to do to practice to show that you understand this? I'd like for you to open up your My Math workbook. If you don't have your My Math workbook, you could get to it through Clever, or I'm going to attach a PDF onto the blog post so that you'll be able to see that. I need for you to do pages 707 and 708. Okay, it's not that much, but it will give you some good practice. There's even some fractions in there, which at first you might say, huh? But you'll know how to do that. We've talked about how to multiply a fraction times a whole number, and I feel very confident that you guys will be able to do that. So I want for you to work through My Math pages 707 and 708. The answers to those will be posted on Wednesday. I also want for you to take a look at this challenge problem right here. If we were to be having a math workshop, this would be a math workshop problem that you would work together with your group on. So I want for you to open up your math notebook and give this a try. Do the best that you can. All I want for you to do is give it a try. I'll post the answer to this one on Wednesday as well. If you don't get it, that's okay. I'm going to explain it and go over it, but I want everyone to attempt this challenge problem in their math notebooks. If you guys have any questions, if there's anything you don't understand, please make sure you reach out to me and let me know. If you feel like you need a little bit more practice on anything in Chapter 11, Lesson 1 or Chapter 11, Lesson 2, you can do those My Math pages as well, but the only My Math pages that I need for you to do are pages 707, 708. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and once again, reach out if you have any questions at all. Bye, guys.